In Mogok, rubies don't get deposited into a bank. Suu keeps his loot on the first floor. 2 trays full of rubies, which account for this week's production. The most beautiful stones are stored in oil to better protect them.
How much for the whole plate?
The whole place then $1 lakh.
$1 lakh. How many do you think it will be sell in Paris?
After they have been cut and polished, these stones will then be resold for 20 to 30 times more money in Europe. This small tray would be worth approximately 2 million euros in Paris. The price of 1 ruby alone can go through the roof if it possesses an exceptional purity, as was the case with this jewel that he sold for a small fortune.
For $5 million, nearly $5 million. I sold I did 7-8 years.
Suu's most beautiful rubies currently come from a new mine. 2 years ago, he found a very promising deposit, of which he is the sole owner. The rubies are embedded in marble that has to be searched for deep underground. Suu leaves us in the hands of the site's manager. The mine's entrance is located further down, underneath these sheets of corrugated iron. A workman has agreed to equip himself with a lightweight camera to show us the conditions that they work in. He begins his almost vertical descent clinging on to a single piece of rope. Some slippery logs serve as ladders. But halfway down, the rope is too short. He reaches the first landing by clinging onto a water pipe. A second gallery allows him to access deep down within this vein that was dug in just under 4 months. No shoring has been put in to support the walls and avert the risk of collapse. Goods lifts overhang a sheer drop. We finally reach the bottom of the mine, 100 meters underground. Water is the main hazard to this structure. When it seeps into the mine, it weakens it, increasing the risk of it collapsing on top of the workers. Water is pumped out continuously, but when the monsoon is at its heaviest, work must stop during several months. Amongst the deafening noise of the pneumatic drills, the workers bore holes into the marble. They guide the drill bit with their hands or the soles of their flip-flops to make sure that it doesn't slip. Another worker packs in the dynamite for the next explosion. With no protection at all, these miners smash open the rocks 12 hours per day, their lungs filling up with marble dust. The rocks are loaded by hand before being brought up to the surface using this zip wire. As in every mine, the workers work in rotation night and day, and they live on site in this metal hangar. Hard labour is compensated with good wages. The mine's 150 workers earn around 3 times the average salary in Burma. The miners also get productivity bonuses. In the past 2 years, several workers have been injured, but not a single one of them has died in this new mine. The ruby kings only leave a few drops for the inhabitants. The valley's population live in the hope of one day finding the rare pearl that will in turn make them their fortune. A vain hope when you don't have the right yourself to dig a hole in the ground. The locals have to make do with the rubies left by the most generous developers. At the exit to this mine, villagers load up on stones that are transported a little further away, to the heart of one of the city's poorest areas. This vast field of stones invades their neighbourhood more and more each day. Hundreds of families break up the rubble piece by piece to unearth tiny rubies that have passed through the mesh of the net. A minuscule stone that's hardly worth anything. This saying is now well known beyond the Burmese borders. For several generations, those from Bangladesh, India and Nepal have been attracted here by ruby fever. They work in groups in this marble rubbish dump. Each lorry load has its team, and they share the spoils of each ruby. The buyers are never very far away, like these well-dressed women. They are on the lookout to find the best stones. They will in turn try to sell these stones on that same day at the town's ruby market. Under these parasols, a multitude of dealers trade uncut or cut stones. A detailed inspection is carried out under a lamp to check the stone's sparkle and purity. Then it's on to hard bargaining and a dose of bluffing. These brokers have to pay a tax of 20%, so the most beautiful rubies are not traded here. The majority of them will be directly smuggled abroad to be sold. But in Burma, it is not this trafficking that worries the international community the most.